Cool, in a second. There we go. Hello and welcome to our third fall presentation. So amidst the remote learning, many robotics students have lost the opportunity to obtain hands-on experience. Therefore, FTC Team 14020, Nemesis Prime, has been reaching out to professionals asking to give presentations about themselves, their professional journey, and a fascinating topic about their specific profession. Today, we have Miss Ayana Webb, who is an entrepreneur who started off in the music industry, but evolved into creating an online educational resource with over 3,000 students. In her free time, she enjoys traveling and exploring the world around her so she can grow and just take everything in. So thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm really excited to do this session today. So I feel like I have a lot of cool things to share with you guys, and I think you guys will take a lot from this presentation today. Let me see. Can you hear me? Okay. Okay, so you want me to take over right now? All right, cool. So as Matt has said, my name is Ayana. Matt and I actually go back to like high school, maybe like I would say my junior year, his sophomore year, I would say, somewhere around there. So we're talking about maybe 15, 16 years, probably longer than some of you guys have even been born. So just to give you guys some history of, just how I came to be here. And a lot has happened pretty much in my life, coming from being a teenager, like, your age, those of you guys who are watching up to where I am now. And I think that this will give you guys a good snapshot of what life can look like for you. And I want to give you guys a little bit more information about myself. Let me just see. I'm going to share my screen here. So I can go ahead and get started. Can you guys see my screen? All right. So I wanted to talk a little bit about myself, who I am. I'm going to go ahead and can you guys see the full screen? I just want to make sure everything looks good. Okay. So about myself, again, my name is Ayana. And what I do now is I sell piano courses online. And I actually did not start out that way. Let me just move this thing here because this screen on the top left is, I'll read it either way. I used to teach private lessons, and I was doing that for maybe like 9 years. And then I ended up switching to doing courses full time. Hold on, I need to minimize these tabs here so I can see what I'm doing. All right, so I've been doing piano for 9 years, or teaching piano lessons for 9 years, one-on-one. And mind you guys, I was teaching piano lessons when I was still in school. So that's very important to note because, you think that there's a lot of things that you can't do without a degree, and you'd be surprised what you can do. So the point is, I switched to online courses full time, and I got into teaching piano because a lot of you are probably wondering, okay, what was it about piano that, that made you gravitate to teaching piano? It was something that I was good at the time. I loved learning piano, which is ironic because as a kid, I actually kind of hated taking lessons. And then eventually I ended up just growing back into it when I was in college, and I was just very good at relaying the art of music to other people. So I said, you know what, why not just turn it into a profession and then just go from there? So what basically got me from teaching private lessons to doing courses online is because over time, I was trading hours for dollars, and it just became draining after a while. And I know a lot of you, if some of you are working, jobs at this point, you probably kind of understand that feeling. And for me, I was approaching a burnout. So I decided to switch my business model because if I can record courses and once it's published, then I don't have to do anything. Then what happens is after that, the students, they can just buy the material on their own, and then they can just go through the recorded videos through the course on their own. And they wouldn't need me to be there to teach it for them. So it's basically kind of like a self-operated model. So that was the reason why I switched over to doing courses online. And it's super important because this model allowed me to scale to a 6-figure online business. 6 figures meaning my business made over $100,000 in sales since inception, and allows me to teach thousands of students around the world, allowing me, as Matt said, to free up my time to do things that I enjoy. I can travel now. I can spend more time with family, people that I love, etc. So that was the gift that, doing an online business has granted me, taking that journey. So how did I get there? This is actually one of my most favorite parts of my life story, because it kind of represents resilience and what is possible. So when I actually first went to college at Rutgers in Camden campus, I was originally an accounting major. Now you're probably like, wait, accounting, music, how did that happen? just stick with me there. So the reason why I picked accounting was actually partially inspired by my mom. My mom was, we come from a very large family. She was actually the first person to go to school, to go to college in our family, and accounting was her first major. And the thing was, I kind of wanted to be like her. And I actually had a discussion with her. I said, Mom, I want to be an accountant. And she also told me that accountants make a lot of money. Whether that's true or not at this point is questionable, but that's not the point. I told her that I wanted to do accounting because, I wanted to be like her and, make lots of money, et cetera, et cetera. And she said something that was very important. She said, as long as you do what you love. She didn't say do accounting. She didn't say do law, do medicine, do music. She just said, just do what you love. And at the time, I didn't really understand why that was important, because what I was thinking was, well, as long as I make a lot of money, that's what makes me happy, right? That's what we all think. And then life hits, and then you realize that that's not quite the truth. So when I went to school, my first year, I was fortunate enough to have a paid internship as a freshman. And some of you may be aware that it's very difficult to get an internship that's not paid, even as a junior and senior. So I was very fortunate to get a paid internship my first year. And even better, once I got the internship, my boss said that, if you just continue your internship for your 4 years and you pass all your tests, you get your degree, you have a job here, you wouldn't even have to look for a job post-graduation, which, again, I didn't know how important that was, graduating into a job force that doesn't really exist anymore. That's another topic. But the thing is, about 3 or 4 months into the internship, I actually started hating my job. And when I say hate, I mean, let's say Sunday rolls around and I was getting that Monday blues. I think it's either called Sunday blues or Monday blues, where you're like, I just don't want to go to work the next day. I have a whole other week in front of me. I don't even want to think about it. It's the worst feeling in the world. And the thing was, I had to kind of reevaluate my life path and go, you know what? I've only been at this internship for 3 to 4 months. So, and I've only been working here part-time because, I'm still going to school full-time. And I had to say to myself, if I'm already feeling this way, working part-time at an internship I've only been at for 3 or 4 months, then how is my life going to look, working full-time for the next 3 to 4 decades? That was horrifying to me. So I said, you know what, let me just not lie to myself. What is it that I really want to do? I'll figure out the money thing later on. And I had to just be truthful. And I said, I've always wanted to do music because music has been a part of my life since I was really young. But the reason why I didn't do music at first was because I was afraid of what people were telling me. They were like, oh, you're going to be a starving artist, or you're going to be one of those, people on the street, playing guitar for coins, I had this idea of what my life would be like as a musician, which was why I shied away from it. But I always loved music. And I said, you know what? Let me just switch my major. I'll figure out the finance thing later on. But I'm doing what I love. And I remember the day I switched my major over to music. It was like a huge weight that was lifted off of me. And I felt like my future was just so much brighter. And the first person that I told, one of the first people that I told was my mom. I said, Mom, I know I said I wanted to be an accountant, but I switched my major to music. And she said, I was waiting for you to do that. And I'm like, Mom, why didn't you just tell me this? Why didn't you just knock some sense into me when I first was trying to do accounting? And she said, you had to come to that decision on your own. And I had to think about that. And the reason why that was important is because if I didn't understand, if I didn't experience what it's like to do something that you hate, then I probably would not have appreciated the path of doing what I love. And that was the big lesson. Obviously, I no longer had an internship, so eventually I needed some, financial security. And because I was still in school, at this point, I'm training in music. I already passed my piano proficiency test, so I had some, some footing in music. And I said, you know what? I'm going to apply for some jobs as a piano teacher in some local music studios and see, who can hire me. But the problem was I was competing with those positions with people, who have master's degrees in music and they've been teaching for 25 years. And so I was hitting a brick wall because nobody was hiring me. And I felt like my window was closing. And I said, you know what? What's going to stop me from just taking what little money I have left and ordering a bunch of flyers, like 5,000 flyers, and just going into my neighborhood and just getting students on my own? Who's gonna tell me no? You can't. There's no resume for that. You just go out there, you start your business, and no one can stop you. No one can tell you you're hired, you're fired. It's your business. So what I did was I ordered my flyers, and the way that I did it was around spring 2011. I said by the end of summer I want to have X amount of students. And the way business works is it's all a numbers game. So if you need X amount of students, you need to pass out X amount of flyers. So for example, if out of every 100 flyers, you get one student, if you want to get 10 students, you need to pass out 1,000 flyers. That's kind of how business works, right? So I was getting up every day in the summer while all my other friends were out partying and, making all kinds of dumb decisions. I was getting up at 5 in the morning and I was out the door by 6 in the morning. And I made sure that I passed out at least 100 door-to-door flyers every single day. Like I was determined. And it paid off because by the end of summer, by the time I got into fall semester of school, I had over 20 private students. So if you do the math on that, 20 students times, let's say, $35 an hour, that's, it's a pretty penny there. But that's the point. I, made sure I just removed all those barriers and I started my own business. And had I realized that that was the result that I was going to get, I would have made that my first choice versus me going to a job where they determine how much I get paid. They determine what time I had to come in, what time I had to leave, when I can go on vacation. I would have went to the self-employed route first had I known that that was the result I was going to get. So what have I learned in my journey? A few things I'm pretty sure you guys have taken away already, but I will reiterate. Doing what you enjoy creates a much more fulfilling life than money. This is the reason why you hear horror stories about people who are extremely wealthy and people who are famous who end up, harming themselves. And you're wondering, well, they have a whole bunch of money. Why would they be miserable? Because you realize that life is more than just about money. It's about, you having and enjoying fulfilling life. If you don't have that, then nothing else matters, right? The other thing is time is always more valuable than money. Do not become a slave to your own occupation just for the sake of a higher pay grade. There are people who they may have well-paid jobs, but they're working 50 hours, 60 hours, 70 hours a week. And they're working all these hours because they have to maintain, the big house that they have to pay on a mortgage, the 2 or 3 cars that they have in their driveway. They have to keep up with all of these expenses because they had an idea of what the American dream was. But guess what? They had to sacrifice something more important, which is time. So when do they have the time to enjoy all of these things? Because they're constantly working to maintain these things. So just keep in mind that there has to be a balance between you being able to make a living, but you also having the time to do the things that you enjoy, which was one of the main reasons why I went to doing online courses, because I wanted to free up my time. Number 3, always strive for your dreams, even if others don't believe in you. This is so important because when you go through life and you're sharing your ideas and dreams that they may sound crazy to other people, and other people might have a very strange reaction to it. They may tell you that, oh, that can't be possible, that can't be done, no one else has done it before, so that must mean that you can't do it. A few things you want to keep in mind. other people may have limitations on what they believe they can't do. That has nothing to do with you. You know, what they believe they can't do has nothing to do with what your abilities are. The other thing you want to keep in mind is that when you're getting advice or when you're getting feedback from other people about, you know, things you want to achieve in life, sometimes they have a weird way of saying, you know what, I may not be the best person to ask about, you know, to get feedback from this because I don't know anything about this thing that you're trying to get into. I may not be the best person to talk to. Sometimes people don't know how to say that. So the first thing that they'll say is, oh, you can't do it, you know. So it may not necessarily be jealousy. It may just be fear of, you know, they don't want to see you fail. So they may have the best interest at heart, but, you know, just keep those things in mind when you're sharing your ideas with other people and you're continuing to move forward, even when people tell you that you can't do something, which leads into my fourth bullet here: find a mentor, because that person is going to be probably one of the most important people when it comes to you achieving your dreams faster. And the benchmark that you should be using is find a mentor who has done the very thing that you're trying to do and is willing to teach you. Even if you can't get access to that person directly, if they have articles, if they have books, if they have, I don't know, YouTube videos, how-to YouTube videos on the thing that you're trying to do, that should be the person that you should be following. That should be the first person that you should be getting feedback from when it comes to you achieving that thing, because they'll be the person to know what your journey is going to be like, and they'll also save you time. Because a good mentor will go, you know what, I had to figure this out on my own. It took me a much longer time. It took me a lot more money. I'm going to shorten that time for you by showing you how to do things the right way the first time. That's the reason why it's so important to find a mentor. That's what I did, and that's how I got where I am, because my mentor, you know, what he does is he offers piano courses too, but he has a very special niche. He actually teaches how to play gospel piano by ear, and he's made millions doing it. So I said, what better person to ask about selling piano courses than the person who sells piano courses online too. So finding a mentor is super important when it comes to you achieving certain things in life. And finally, align yourself with people in your life who have the same priorities and goals as you do. You'd be surprised how much people can have an influence on you. You know how they say, you may not have ever heard this term before, but they say if you have 9 broke friends, chances are you'll be the 10th one. If you have 9 rich friends, chances are you'll be the 10th one. Because other people who are in your circle, they can have an influence on your decisions. So if you surround yourself with people who are extremely productive, who are goal setting, they can be the best support system for you, and you can be the best support system for them. Even when you have moments of discouragement, even when you have moments where you don't feel like doing the work, they'll be the ones to push you forward. So that's why it's important for you to align yourself with people who are going in the same life direction as you are. So I got all that out the way.
Real quick,
I want to get into, yeah,
Ayana, on the previous slide, can you talk us through how you obtained your mentor?
Oh, actually, I found this ad on Facebook. But the thing is, I knew about him already before then. But his name is Jermaine Griggs. I actually was one of his students for the Gospel Keys courses I was telling you about, because I had bought his DVDs like back in like 1819 when DVDs were still a thing. So that was how I came across him. But I did see his ad on Facebook where he was offering another course for business owners, teaching them how to automate their business by selling courses online and being able to acquire customers. So that's how I came across him the second time, if that makes sense.
And just a note for anyone who's watching this currently, you're more than welcome to post questions in the chat on YouTube. We will see them and we will be able to ask Ayana any question that you have live.
Perfect. So I want to get into today's topic, which is going to be starting your own business. I know that you guys are at that point where you're kind of at a crossroads and someone just walked in. Oh, hey, I'm doing my session now. I know a lot of you are still in like your, is it middle school and high school age group of the people watching?
Mainly high school.
middle high school. So you guys are kind of at that point where you're, picking colleges and trying to figure out like what life path you want. And, a lot of you may not have even considered starting a business. But I'm here to present that idea to you. And I want to give you guys some reasons as why you should consider starting a business if that is something that you guys want to do. Number one, nearly 27 million US citizens, which is about 14% of the population, are business owners. And because of technology, which you guys know firsthand, offering different resources and opportunities for people to start their own businesses, which is making it a lot easier for them to do now versus, let's say, 20 years ago. The other thing, which I think millennials are now figuring out, is that most current jobs with set pay are not providing livable wages. And the problem with that is that the cost of living, I see Carl is over here nodding his head. Because Carl and I were the same age, so we know this. And Matt, you probably know this too. As the cost of living rises, the rate of pay increase isn't keeping up with that. So let's say if you want to live somewhere where like the cost of rent is like, I don't know, $1,000 a month, right? And I think they just raised the minimum wage to $15. Yeah, so if you do the math on that, 15 times, I can't do math in my head very quickly. 15 times $40 a week is what, $600 a week, I think. Yeah. So if you times that by 4, that's $2,400 a month. Rent has already taken half of that. And then you got your car note, you got your utilities, you got groceries, you got your phone bill, you got your car insurance. That $2,400 can get ate up easily. So when it comes to the jobs that are available, most of them aren't really providing livable wages. And whatever is left, you won't be able to really do fun things like travel and, hang out with friends and things like that. And then the other thing, which is kind of tying into the second point, is that there's a study that says over 800 million global jobs will be replaced by automated systems by 2030, which I think is applicable to this presentation because you guys are into robotics. So you guys may be the first to know that is coming. So whatever jobs that are left in literally 10 years from now, there may be few of them because most companies are trying to save money and they're trying to go into automation. So as far as job opportunities, that might not be as available to you guys going into your college years in like your mid 2025, 2020, 2030. So that's another reason why starting a business might be a better option for you guys. Now, the pros of running your own business, number one, you can craft a business revolved around doing what you truly love. And that could be anything. It could be baking. It could be, I don't know, dog walking. You can have a business that you love. And as I reiterated earlier in this presentation, you can set your own rates. That's what I was doing when I was teaching piano. I was able to set my own rates versus when I was applying for jobs, they were just telling me how much I could make. Whereas with me, I was like, oh, I can charge this much. I can set my own schedule. I can choose what days I wanted to have off. And you can also choose how, and when I say expansion, you can choose how big or how small you want that business to be. And the other thing, which a lot of you might be thinking, okay, do you need a lot of money to start your own business? Actually, you don't. You don't need a lot of money, and you don't need a large team either to get started. So in most, cases, I mean, I started with what, $200, and I just ordered 5,000 flyers. That was all I needed to start my own business, and then I turned that into, the six-figure business that I have now. You can also fuel the economy by creating job opportunities for other people. So obviously, as your business grows, you're going to need a team of people to bring in to help with, let's say, customer service or marketing. So you'll be able to create job opportunities for them as well. And with very few exceptions, which me and Matt talked about this, I don't know if you knew I was going to say this already, but you actually don't need a college degree to start a business. You don't even need to be out of high school to start your own business. There are kids right now, running their multi-million-dollar businesses. And the exceptions would be obviously the fields that you would need certifications in, like accounting and law and medicine, those obviously you would need degrees for, but those would be the exceptions. Most other businesses you don't really need a degree for. You don't need a high school diploma for. You can even, if you wanted to start a business tomorrow, you could do that. So just know that you have those options available to you. And instead of saying cons, when it comes to starting a business, I don't really believe in cons. I just say that these are things to keep in mind when starting a business. Number one, it will take time and effort. Please be patient. I'm still learning this myself. And be persistent. And the reason why I say this is because you don't want to be that person that tries one thing, and if it doesn't work out and you're like, oh, well, it didn't work and it's not going to work. No, you have to keep trying. You have to be patient. You have to be persistent. You have to give the business a chance to grow. And leading into my second point, 20% of businesses actually fail within the first year. And what that actually means is chances are you may see a loss of money before, keyword, before you see a gain. And you see the word profits on the screen. Profits meaning however much money that you actually make minus your expenses. Whatever is left is your profits. So for most businesses, they may end up having to spend more money than what they make in the first couple of years. And then what ends up happening is as the business grows, they start to break even, and then they end up starting to make more money than what they're spending. So that's kind of how most businesses work in the beginning. So if that happens to you, just know that that's not because your business failed. It's just a normal occurrence, right?
So that means that 20% of the businesses aren't shutting down, but 20% of the businesses are just not seeing profit during their first year.
Right. Exactly. So, most businesses who do fail, some of them do shut down because they didn't grasp that part of it. But yes, failing meaning like in terms of just them not seeing a profit right away. So that kind of ties into my first point is to be patient and be persistent. And then you'll see, once you make the right steps, then you'll see that those better results come in over the next couple of years or so. For some people, it might even be immediate, but just, know that that's normal if that happens. So don't be discouraged if you don't see the results you're looking for in the first, let's say, year or two or first few months. Just know that that is what happens with businesses, right? The other thing, intermittent jobs are your best friend. I know that there's a stigma about, working, retail or, working as a cashier at Target or McDonald's. But I'm telling you, when it comes to running a business, that's probably extremely important for a few reasons. Number one, they help take care of your essential needs while you're growing your business, which takes the pressure off of you having to get your business off the ground right away because you have all these incoming expenses to come in that you have to take care of. Your job, if you have to work a job, it'll take care of those things as you're building your business. And it also provides any funding that your business needs, which in turn helps your business grow faster. So, when people say, or people tend to frown upon those day jobs, when it comes to running a business, having a day job will actually, in some ways, be helpful, right? So this will make running your business a lot less stressful. The other thing is, and this is what I actually ended up doing myself this year, wait for your business, because now I know you're probably thinking, okay, if I have a job, if I'm running a business, when do I know to transition from, the job to the business? A good benchmark is wait for your business to provide 2 to 3 times your current income on a consistent basis before quitting your job. And consistent basis meaning you make sure that that income is coming in, let's say after a few months, because with most businesses, you may have, high seasons, you may have slow seasons. So you may make, $10,000 in one month, and then the next month it's like $300, and you're like, what happened? I quit my job. I can't live off of $300 a month. So you want to make sure that you're making consistent income that is at least 2 to 3 times what you're making with your job before you can safely say, you know what, okay, I can switch over. So that's one of the things that I did with my business where I was teaching private lessons. And I said, you know what, with my online courses, once I hit that 2 to 3 mark and it stays consistent over like a couple of months, that's when I knew it was safe for me to transition from teaching private lessons to doing courses full time. So that's very, very important to keep in mind if you decide to take the business running route. So there's different types of business. Yeah.
So how has coronavirus affected your business, and how do you think people should start their business during this pandemic?
Oh man, that is a good question. So COVID, see, Carl can't hear me. Yeah, sure, you can film me. Yes. So the question, I'm just because I got my headphones on, so Carl didn't hear the question. The question was, how has the business how has the COVID affected my business? And how can other people kind of, I guess, pandemic-proof their business?
Really just start their business amidst the whole pandemic.
Yeah. So how it actually affected me both in a good and a bad way. So when COVID hit, because when I was teaching lessons, I was going to students' houses, and that was my main means of income. So when COVID happened and we were all pretty much shut down, we couldn't go to people's houses anymore, I ended up having to switch to Skype lessons. But the problem was some of the parents were not with the idea of doing Zoom lessons. So they were like, oh, well, we'll just wait for COVID to end, and then we'll go back to lessons. But we don't know when that's going to be. So my income as far as the private lesson side of it was cut in half. But then there was an uptick in people who wanted to take lessons online. So in a way, my private lesson business kind of started to die off at the same time that my online business was growing. Does that make sense? So when it comes to starting a business during the pandemic, and actually this kind of ties into what I'm about to talk about in this slide too, is to create a business model that people can be able to still do business with you while things like this are happening. Amazon made trillions of dollars because of the pandemic, because people were no longer going to stores, they were now buying items online. So it was really about the business model that helped the business transition or to grow during times like these. So once I go over these slides, you'll kind of see how when you run a business, you can choose a business model that fits with the times. Does that make sense, guys? Almost done. Okay. So you can also the thermostats over there. So one of the business models that you can do is selling products, and products meaning providing a physical or digital product that a customer can purchase. That can be, I'm going to just use some fitness examples here. Selling Fitbit watches, right? The other thing is you can provide services, right? So that means offering your time in exchange for money, or you can offer expertise to clients, for example, providing fitness classes. So let's say if you were trying to run a business online during a pandemic, that can look like you having, like what we're doing right now, where we're having a Zoom session, right? So you can have, fitness classes that you can do online, doing Zoom, you can do live classes, things like that, right? Then there is, when it comes to the way the business looks, you have brick and mortar businesses, in-person businesses. This is when you can operate out of a physical storefront location, or you can have a mobile business model like I did when I was teaching lessons. Obviously, brick and mortar businesses were affected by the pandemic, so that might not be, at least for me, that probably would not be the route that I would take right now. If you ever were to choose a business model, that would be my advice. If you want to start a business at this phase, I would, if you wanted to have brick and mortar, I would probably hold off until things kind of just, die down, right? But the thing is, you have also online businesses where you provide services and sell products. The same products and services that you can provide in the brick and mortar business, you can provide online. So for example, let's say you can provide live coaching programs. You can do like what I'm doing. So as opposed to me teaching private lessons, I can sell courses, right? Or you can sell e-commerce. E-commerce is just electronic commerce, meaning you can have an online store where you're selling physical products, but they're just ordering them online. So there wouldn't have to be any kind of in-person interaction. So that's the way that you can get a business going, even during a time like this. And keep in mind that you can mix these up however you best fit, your preference, lifestyle, the era that we're in. So there are no rules to what kind of business model that you want to set up. So obviously, those are some examples of ways that you can run a business or even start a business. Some people actually made millions because of the pandemic, because people were selling masks, custom design masks, where a year ago masks wouldn't even have been a thing. So if you get really creative, and you can just apply whatever that passion of yours is to a business model that can still run and that can grow, regardless of what's happening with the economy or with the pandemic, then you'd be in a good spot. So hopefully that kind of answered the question with the COVID thing. And how do you get started? Number one, I already went over this, pick something that you enjoy. And as you know, this is a common theme that I've been talking about this entire presentation, because I cannot stress how important it is to pick something that you enjoy, and theme your business around that. So it can be, you guys are into robotics, it can be a technology business, it could be baking, it could be fitness, it could be music, it could be art, it could be, whatever it is that it is. If necessary, do some research and training to brush up on your craft. So for me, even when I was teaching piano, I was still taking lessons from my, my higher up teacher when I was in college. So if you feel better about kind of just brushing up on that thing that you want to do before you become a professional with it, then that's fine too. You can do that first and then get into a business with it. Also, craft a business model that you want to go with. So alongside of creating a business model that is adaptable to whatever is happening, you can start with one and you can add others later. And you can also create a business model that fits your preference. So if you're the kind of person that likes to be more hands-on, you can do live lessons, you can do a business type where you can be more involved with your customers and clients. Or if you're kind of like me, where I'm a bit more hands-off because I'm done with the teaching thing for at least for a minute, then you can have a self-operated business like mine where you can just publish courses online or, sell your products online and then just kind of let it, run itself. And this is super important. You guys need to learn about your target market. And you're like, what is the target market? For those who don't know, it's a group of people who would be most interested in doing business with you. So for example, for fitness, right? If you had to choose between targeting a group of 100 people who are dialed in into fitness and choosing to market to 100 people who are just kind of random and maybe only a small portion of them are into fitness, guaranteed if you choose to target to those 100 people who are into fitness, you'll get much better results than if you would target 100 people over here who some of them are into fitness and some of them are not. So you have to figure out who your target market is and specifically put all of your investments, all of your time into those people, because the results you get doing it that way, as opposed to just kind of targeting just random people, it's going to be a lot better. The results will be a lot better. And if applicable, make sure you research any licensing requirements needed to make sure that you're running your business legitimately. Because I know that it can differ, let's say, in certain areas. So for example, if I was passing out flyers in my neighborhood, at least within Cherry Hill, I don't think I needed a license to, pass out flyers and need like a permit to do that. But that's just Cherry Hill, right? I mean, I could be wrong, but that was 9 years ago. So don't take that back to the township, okay? But there may be some cities where you may need to get like a permit to do those kinds of things. You may need a certificate or permit to run certain businesses. So just do your research in your area to see if you need those things, right?
So it's not necessarily wrong to pass out flyers to just random people. It's just, as you mentioned before, if there's 100 flyers, maybe only one person's going to be interested. So if you want those 10 people, you're going to need to do 1,000 flyers.
Exactly.
So it's going to be a lot more work if you don't do your research.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because guess what? Let's just take that, for example. Let's say we take those 100 flyers. If I was in a neighborhood, right, where let's say if the neighborhood was, upper class families who have children who are likely to put their kids in lessons, right? I would probably get, let's say, one person out of 100 flyers from that neighborhood. Then if I were to take those flyers to, let's say, like a millennial development where they don't have any kids and they don't care about lessons, I may get one student out of every 500 flyers. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So it's really important to kind of know who you're targeting, and, you can take the same number of flyers and get better results in, let's say, one demographic or one type of, family versus you going to another demographic that may have no interest in what you're doing. And then it creates less work for you when you do things that way. Does that make sense, guys?
Yep.
All right. Also important, and this is probably one of the most mundane, hated things that you can do running a business, but it's probably the most important. Put any necessary policies or terms together before doing business. And these policies and terms will protect both you and your customers on a legal level. So a policy, I'll give you an example, right? For my private lessons, I had a policy where I said, okay, in exchange for, this lesson, you can expect this kind of lesson plan. I put in my payment terms, payment is due by this date on each month, cancellation terms. Okay, if I cancel, then I owe you, credit. It lays out the laws in the land. So that way, if there's any discrepancies, the customers can't come back to you and say, oh, I thought this. And like, no, in the policy, it says that. Does that make sense? And even like online, with my online courses, I have a privacy policy that says any information that you give to me, whether it's email, payment information on my website, is going to be used just for this purpose. I will not sell your information to other people. I will not sell off your email to, you know, a scammer who's trying to buy, you know, email lists from people. So that protects it. It protects them. And then the terms, there's also a terms page that says, let's say if you buy a particular product, right? Let's say if you buy my full course for $99, it says, if you pay $99 for this course, this is the material that you're going to get. So then that person can't come back and say, oh, I thought I was getting all these other things. It says, no, in the terms you were getting just this. So it just kind of makes things clearer. It's not the funnest thing to do to put policies together, but it's super, super important. In fact, when you're running ads on Facebook, Facebook actually requires you to have a privacy policy if you're collecting people's information. So in that light, it's actually important, required to have those things in place. And you can actually create your own policies and terms. You can also find templates online. If you just, you know, type in template generator for a privacy policy or terms, you can take that route. If you want to go the safest route, you should maybe have a lawyer draft them up for you. I didn't have a lawyer draft up mine, but at least I had, you know, a friend of mine who was into law, kind of, you know, just look it over and to see if it was good, right? So it's important to have those things in place before you kind of put your business out there. And once you're ready, then you're ready to start marketing your business. Now, I have a short list here. There's literally hundreds of ways to market your business, but I just kind of narrowed it down to the ones that I use and the ones that were most effective to me. Obviously, flyers. I think we've had a consensus that flyers is you know, a good way to get your business out there, especially if you're trying to get things, you know, in order in like your local area. Flyers would be a pretty good way to do it. Word of mouth and referrals. So what happened was, after I started getting my first batch of private students, what I did was I said, okay, if you guys have a neighbor or a friend of yours who, you know, may be interested in lessons, for each person that you send to me that I end up booking as a consistent student, you get a free lesson. So that's called an incentive. So in exchange for you bringing me more customers, now I don't have to put out the physical work. Now my customers are doing the work for me. You give them something in exchange. So those would be considered referrals because they're referring someone else to me. And in exchange, they get a reward for that. So word of mouth is extremely important because, you know, no one's going to take my word for it. They're going to take the person that they know, their word for it, before they take my word for it, right? Social media, which a lot of you are on right now. So let's say Facebook, Instagram. I could do a whole nother session about social media. I'm not going to do that today, but just I would just look into some courses on how to promote your business on each platform, because the algorithm for each platform, as you guys who are techie, you guys know, it's different for each. It's different for Facebook. It's different for Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, you know, whatever the new social network will be 5 years from now. The algorithm will be different for each. So it would pay to kind of understand how to promote on each platform and be able to get your business out there that way. There's also affiliate partnerships, which I totally forgot to mention. If you wanted to, let's say, build courses, right? And actually the platform that I use is called Teachable, and Teachable allows you, and they have, you know, cheap memberships, things like that. I think their lowest membership is like $39 a month, where you can start building your courses, and you can build as many courses as you want. You can, I think, sell as many courses as you want. You know, you can just, they make it so easy for you to build a course, you know, upload videos, put it into a course platform and get it out there, right? So, you know, plug, if you guys want information, let me know. I'll send you the link if you want information on Teachable. And the reason why I mentioned Teachable is because they have an affiliate partnership, which I legally need to tell you guys that I have an affiliate link. So what that means is if I send you an affiliate link, and then if you become Teachable's customer, I get a percentage off of each of those payments that you're making to Teachable, because I am Teachable's affiliate partner. Does that make sense, guys? So what you could do is basically, if you wanted to get an influencer to promote your business to their followers, you can go to that influencer and say, hey, in exchange for you pushing my product service to your followers, you can get a cut off of each sale that you make. So they would be an example of an affiliate partnership to your business. So that's another way that you can get your business out there. And finally, my personal favorite, paid advertising. And the reason why I like paid advertising, you know, in comparison to the other marketing strategies that I mentioned, is that you have full control over how much traffic you want to send to your business and how quickly you want that traffic to be generated. So the way paid advertising works, Facebook has it. You can do paid advertising on Instagram. You can do paid advertising on YouTube. I think TikTok just opened their advertising platform. You can do Pinterest. And the idea is, let's say, for example, if you give $10 to Facebook, they'll push your ad to, I'm just giving a random number as an example, let's say 1,000 people. Then chances are, if you give $20 to Facebook, they may push your ad to 2,000 people. So in that light, you can, the more money that you give those platforms, the more your ad will be shown. So you can have control over how much traffic you want and how much money you want to make back, you know, against the money that you're spending on ads. So I hope that I know that was a lot of information, but I just wanted to thank you guys for watching my presentation. And I hope that you guys got a lot of information out of that. I hope you guys have some ideas going. If you want to take the business route, I hope you guys have some ideas in your mind about what you want to do. And, you know, don't let the lack of a college degree or lack of a, you know, high school diploma keep you from getting your business off the ground. If you can get it started as soon as you want, it could be today, tomorrow. Just know that that is possible for you. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I wanted to take some time to get some questions in. So, yeah, go ahead.
I have a question. So what do you think? So now that you just kind of talked about marketing, what do you think we should do for our own weekly presentation with marketing? Like, what do you think would be a good strategy?
Oh, wow, okay. I would say for your weekly presentation, basically what you guys are doing now, where you're reaching out to different schools and they're bringing their students in. I would probably find some groups on Facebook or Instagram who deal with robotics, you know, clubs and high school kids, and just kind of go in there and just say, hey, this is what we're doing. I want to invite you guys to do some free or to some free sessions. Definitely do some paid advertising. I would even get some sponsors, because if this is a nonprofit organization, you can get some sponsors to, you know, push some ads for you guys on social media where the kids are posting their photos and their TikToks and whatnot. So there's a lot of ways that you can do this. You can even go into, well, I'm not sure if schools are still closed, but you can even reach out to the schools and maybe come in, if that's even possible, to do presentations in the schools, and then just say, hey, this is what we're doing online, you know, and then that's how you can drive traffic. I would even also get an email list together. So if you can get the kids' email list, that way you can keep in contact with them outside of, you know, school contact, if that makes sense. So those are some ways that you guys can get some things off the ground there.
Awesome. I don't really think that there's any questions that are popping up in the chat.
Okay.
But really appreciate this. This was a lot of good information. Just want to thank you for really talking about to us about ways to really start this business, but making sure that it's kind of in a realm that we enjoy. And I think you really made that point very clear, that
Yeah.
it has to be a passion. It can't be just something that we think is, oh, I'm going to get money. Money should not be the driving force.
Exactly.
But at the same time, even though we love it, we shouldn't dive into it, but we should be comfortable, explore it, and once we find a foothold in it, really dive into it. And really appreciate it. Appreciate that. I never really would have thought of all those marketing techniques. It's really a lot to think about. As you know, I love the more technical side, and I definitely don't have the brain for a lot of the creative. So
I'm the same way, actually.
Really?
You know, you would think, ironically, because I'm a musician, that I'm a creative. I'm actually more of like a techie person. So I'm with you there.
But thank you so much for doing this presentation. I'm hoping that the people who are watching this learned a lot from this. And yeah, thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Is there a way that you can? Would they want a copy of the PowerPoint, or is there a way that you can send it to them?
Yes, there's a way I can post that on